Welcome to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach J.W. McKenna. Joining me are Coach Alicia Phillips and Coach Ann Sharkey. Together, we break down the 80-20 philosophy through the lens of real life. Our goal is simple, to help you fit the training into the chaos. Let's get into today's episode. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach JW. Welcome to 2026. This is our first episode of the year. Last episode, we talked about fueling the engine. We got into iron, a pretty good discussion on iron. We talked about vitamin D and the very importance of vitamin D. Today, we're going to be talking about the chassis and the schedule. So in the first part of the show, why your bones might be a ticking time bomb in your training, right? So we're going to talk about, we're going to get Alicia to lead it, but you know, how is the bones going to be playing into your performance and your training? And then the second half, last episode, we tabled training in the morning versus evening. So we're going to pick that up on the second half of the show today, and we're going to talk about that. And so what are the pros and the cons? What are some of the benefits? And we'd also, you know, we'll mention it again at the end of the show, but we're going to want to hear, you know, what are your thoughts and where do you like to train in the day? But before we get to that, we want to do our highs or lows or our humbles from the week, or basically our check-in. And so we'll turn it over to Alicia first. And if you'd like to give us an update since we talked to you last.
Highs and lows. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to say this is a high is that I haven't gotten sick, knock on wood. I feel like everybody and their mother have been getting some crazy stomach bug. 3 people in our house got it, and I was like, I don't know how I'm dodging it, but I am. So I always say the 2 I's I like to stay away from is injury and illness. And you know what? To that, I'm like so excited. So that's going to be my high. Enjoying the week, enjoying the deloading time with kids, Christmas, New Year's, happy 2026, you guys. And I'm going on the consistency game. I'm kind of just focusing on doing workouts that I'm enjoying, finding consistency and just showing up. Whether yesterday I went to some hot yoga because that's what I felt like doing. Today I got on the treadmill and ran 7 miles, and I was like, this is amazing. So being grateful for time off, and good health. And
wow, that's quite a bit to follow. That's amazing. No, I think for me, it's been highs and lows of the week. Have been, well, the high is definitely spending some time with my son is here for the holidays. So that's been amazing. We have had a little bit of cooler weather blow in. So that has also been amazing. It's been a nice little break in the weather for us. Everybody, though, is freezing because it's down into the 50s. They don't know what to do with themselves. But for me, I should knock on wood. I have also been avoiding the sickness that has been going around. But yesterday, I did break out the bottle of zinc, and it's now on my counter in the bathroom, so that I am taking that because I don't have time to be sick. Not that anybody has time for sickness, but I am also at the peak of the Key West training, so I need to definitely stay on top of this crazy flu that is driving everybody back to bed.
How is that training coming along? Whereabouts are you in your training block, and are you feeling ready?
We are at the peak, so this is our last big week of training. Am I feeling ready? To be honest, no, I'm not. This cycle, I've said it before, has been so different for me. I don't know. I don't really know how I'm feeling. I will say that I have been doing a lot of the mental mindset reset work that the 3 of us have talked about quite a bit with just working on some key things, visualization, working through some things that envisioning myself at the finish line. And I don't want to put a time out there because I'm not going by time as a measure of how well this has gone. But there's some things that I've got tucked back in my mind that will help. I did have a longer run on Saturday. It was the highest mileage this week that I've had for quite a while. And honestly, when I got up on Sunday morning, I felt terrible. I almost just went back to bed. I was kind of hot and cold and just felt awful. So I decided to go out. The other good thing is moving to a new place is I really don't know where I am. So I don't have my typical training routes. So I really have no clue. We had this amazing dense fog. So I headed out to a brand new neighborhood across the street. The houses are just being built. And I just kind of created a loop. And I told my husband, I said, I'm going to do it once. And if I feel terrible, I'm just going to come home. Well, I got through a loop. And then I was like, it was nice because I couldn't see the end of the road. So I didn't know how far I had to go. And then all of a sudden, I was ready to start the second loop before I knew it. I was like, well, I've come this far. I didn't come this far to just come this far. So now I need to go out and finish it off. So I knew I'd be mad at myself if I didn't. So I finished it off. Was it great? No, but I got it done. And I wasn't beat up afterwards. So I'm taking that as a huge victory. I felt great. We went off and did a bunch of other things later that day, and I felt good. So for me, that was a win. How about you, JW?
Well, I was just about to ask Alicia how we talked briefly just before we hit the record, and our kind of our tagline for the show is fitting the training into the chaos, and all of us, I think we have a certain amount of chaos in our lives, and when we try to fit the training in there. So I was and I know what my chaos has been like since we talked last, but Alicia, you mentioned you didn't book anything this week with the kids, but then you realize, geez, they're home. And tell us a little bit about that. Like,
oh gosh, yeah. So it was Sunday, and I teach a couple classes on Sunday, and I was literally thinking like, the kids are gonna go to school tomorrow. This is what, you just figure out your Monday. For me, my Mondays are more of like my Sundays. And then I'm like, wait, the kids don't have school tomorrow. Wait, they're off another week. So moms, if you've ever been there, thankfully my husband has had a pretty chill schedule as well. But yeah, it's I didn't plan anything this week, and it's been nice. I mean, the kids still have like wrestling practice. I'm still focusing on just showing up for myself, trying to keep some semi-routine, still waking up same time, going to bed at the same time, but also kind of just like enjoying the downtime, the boredom, letting the kids just play all the toys. We've been sledding a lot this week, you guys. We actually do have snow, and I am reminded that I work out so I can sled with my kids. And I am so sore in muscles that I'm like, like hamstrings, calves, running up and down a hill in boots, that will challenge you. So, yeah, it's a whole new perspective.
Yeah, and for me on my side, I think it's nice. I like I almost call it the deloading for the kids. We try to keep them, because we homeschool our kids, right? And so we're very conscious about making sure that they have visits with other, play dates with other kids that are homeschooled, and they're in activities. Starting next week, Runa will be doing karate Monday and Wednesdays. And so we're always trying to find things for them to do and go places. And our boy Iric, every now and then, he'll just be like, I don't want to go. I just want to stay home. Right. And you're just like, okay, I get it. Yeah. There's so much chaos. And we're oftentimes, I feel like maybe we're just trying to make ourselves too busy, not intentional or anything like that, but, we want to visit, we want to do things. And obviously as parents, we want to try to do the best that we can for our kids. And I think sometimes it's been nice this week, as you mentioned, and even last week, the deloading of all that and just letting them go. Sleepover last night for my daughter, because we're going out to the farm this day, and I think it was great. So, and a little update on the Advent run streak. So we talked a little bit about how Runa was running that. The kid did amazing. Just if anybody was following or would like an update, she got 23 out of 24 days. she
Oh.
on so 24th, 23rd, she was sick like no tomorrow. She literally camped out on the couch for 14 hours and slept.
Oh,
Right. And so she missed that day. And of course, we're not going to wake her up. And then, but she was a trooper. She got up on the 24th and she went out and did a slow runner. I think she did on the treadmill. She finished, and she finished with 54 kilometers in 24
wow.
days. So decent for a 9-year-old.
Wow.
Just thought
That's
I'd do a little
impressive.
update on that. So, but yeah, so she was a little upset. She didn't get quite the 24, but totally understandable. So,
Are you kidding me? That's crazy. I actually, what are your guys' thoughts on like run streaks and all the New Year, New You, jump starting? I actually saw this one and I actually really liked it. It was, the goal was to do 21 and 31. So whether it was run, yoga, whatever it was, to just move your body for 21 days out of the 31. And I actually really liked that one.
I do like those. I'm going to say I'm not a big fan of the super long run streaks, right? Like it's even so, as I mentioned, Jess did the run streak with Runa, and I'd said, you're going to be running for 24 days, pretty much straight, unless you get sick, knock on wood. You don't need to be doing your regular 1-hour runs. You can if you want, I says, but really at the end of the day, the minimum goal for the streak, and it's all about the community. And for this particular streak, I really like it because each day Sinister Sports would say, okay, you have to go out and do this. And so it could be like, what is your ugliest sweater in the run? How do you light something up, or how do you look goofy doing this? So it was totally fun. Like snow angels in your swimsuit, that type of stuff. And so, of course, yeah, -20 and, foot of snow. It's always interesting. So I like that. And I said to her, I said, really, the minimum goal here is to get your 2K so that you can log, you can be eligible for the daily prizing and everything that's going on. So it was a streak, but it wasn't a really kind of diehard streak. So when it gets into a lot of runners like to, not a lot, I've just read a lot about some runners where they will do like these 100 days and just or keep going for like a year.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer the body needs to recover.
Yes.
Right? Like at some point in time. So I'm not a fan if you're going to go hard, like, or these, let's do a marathon a week for 52 weeks or something, or, whatever that goal might be. The body has to have that time to recover. If it don't happen now, I think it will eventually happen that something's going to happen to the body. The body is going to revolt. It's going to be compromised somehow, and something will happen, which I think is a pretty good segue into am I going to say this right? Help me out.
Osteoporosis?
Thank you.
Osteopenia?
Osteopenia?
Osteopenia. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah. The English is fun. So we talked a little bit about this in episode 2 with Alicia, and I think it's a nice segue getting into about how body has to recovery. And if you want to enlighten us a bit more, and we'll talk about bone health. So in your case, maybe how it related back into maybe as an early warning sign into something more serious down the road. Not that this is by any means not serious, but they're cursors into. So I'll turn the mic over to you and kind of just let us know about the scary stuff, how you maybe solutioned it, what could have been some out of it, and then Anne will get you to chime in as well on for master side of that as well. So from the youth even up into masters.
Yeah. So one, I will say I'm a firm believer in one rest day a week. I'm hardcore on it. And in fact, I don't know about you guys, but for me, my athletes, I'm pulling them back more than giving them more intensity. I'm always trying to say like, no, you need to chill out versus they want more. Because just like what JW said, I feel like when I get a new athlete in, they're coming to me because they never made it to the start line of the race that they tried to go for because they got injured, or they're finally hiring a coach because they want to go into a race healthy. They want to be able to finish strong, finish well. so with that, when I was in college, I was 21 years old, very much an athlete, training for my personal training degree. It was back in the era of Got Milk, if you guys can remember those commercials. I was proud of myself that I drank a gallon of milk a week. Like I was a huge cereal person, especially college, not that much money. We drank a lot of cereal, or ate a lot of cereal, I should say. But vitamin D, vitamin C, Got Milk, bone health, all the things. But luckily, I should say, I don't know about that. But in my exercise science major, we got to do all those cool, fun tests. So we did the DEXA scan. We did like all the gold standard body fat measurements and all that things. But in the DEXA scan, I was like, oh, this is going to come up. Like, I'm going to be just a student. Let's try to be like her. And the results were negative. I was borderline osteopenia, meaning like I was gearing towards osteoporosis. And looking back, I had actually broken my elbow twice, which makes sense that my bones weren't very strong. And kind of opened my eyes at the age of 21 because I was still in an age where I can reverse my bone density. So I'm not sure, Anne, maybe you know this one, but at what age can you constantly improve our bones? I'm actually not 100% sure on that one, but
I'm going to say yes. I think you can.
You can. Yeah.
I mean, well, yes. When you hit about 70, I want to say in and around about 70, it's just a lot harder. And the gains that you'll get back from the improving that bone density, that bone remodeling that happens, is going to be a lot slower. I've done this with some of my older athletes. I'll throw plyometrics in there, right? Just to shock the bone. So you don't have to necessarily do the box jumps, but you can do box drops. So instead of jumping up on the box, let's just drop down, and the impact itself. So you have to shock the bone somehow. Like you have to stress it a bit in order for it to say, okay, I need to strengthen up, because if you're going to keep doing this, I got to get stronger. And so I think that's where we can start to increase some of that bone density. Yes, at 21, even younger, when we're actually, just read a report not too long ago. If anybody, put your hand up. Have you ever heard kids cannot lift heavy, kids cannot do strength training, kids cannot do because you're going to screw up their bones for the rest of their lives? They have now kind of debunked most of that. Yes, you don't want them going for the massive 1 RM Olympic lifts, but you want them strength training. You want them to start building those strong bones and those muscles now. So short answer, yes, I think you can all the way through. You do it through your plyometrics. You do it through lifting heavy, right? And lifting heavy will be different for everybody, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger's lifting heavy is way different than what I consider lifting heavy type thing. So, then.
So I did a quick, I knew I couldn't pull the answer. It's also later in the evening, so my brain is already kind of fried from the day. But I did a quick little Google search while JW was talking. It says bone density increases through childhood. Of course, we know that. Maximum strength around age 30, after which the body starts to gradually decline with the bone breakdown beginning to exceed bone rebuilding around age 40, accelerating around menopause. So, yes, we do have to, and then it goes into, while you can't regain peak mass, you can keep building strong bones with calcium, vitamin D, exercise, and that's where it plays in with what you were just saying, JW, about plyometrics are important, but also I had never heard that, what you had said about the box jump, not necessarily jumping up, but jumping down. I do like that. I have not ever thought of it like that, but I know when I was a kid and I used to be able to climb up on the counters and then jump down, when I try to jump down now or jump off the tailgate of the truck, it feels a lot different than it used to. So, yeah, it's super. Go ahead, Alicia.
Fun fact about that is most people get injured from stopping versus starting. So think about jumping down, going down the stairs, slowing down, running downhill is most likely when people will get injured versus the opposite. So yeah, that's actually really.
We don't need crazy jumps either. I prescribe most of the time just a 12-inch box. And that's enough to get you, and it's got to be true plyometrics, but it's enough to get the results that I think we're looking for.
But it does also, real quick, it does also say yes, bone density can be increased or at least significantly maintained after 70 through a combination of weight bearing and things like that. So there is hope out there. And obviously, Alicia, you're at 21, you've done something correct to turn it around to make it work for you now. Were you susceptible to stress fractures or anything like that since?
Well, thankfully, I've never had a stress fracture, and I haven't broken a bone since.
Knock on wood.
Exactly, knock on wood. But I definitely took my strength training seriously. Looking back, I was definitely one of those cardio junkies. I was a cheerleader in college, so always trying to be a certain weight. Thinking back on it, it makes me wonder. I mean, all the things of just working out, not recovering, trying to be as light as possible. So carbohydrates, a simple thing. I feel like we could probably throw that one down your throat a lot, but nutrition is a huge reason that will take your bones down, to a stress fracture. Insufficient nutrients will definitely kill everything there. So especially for endurance runners, for not fueling our workouts, you're not improving that fitness. You're not getting stronger.
Yeah.
You're working backwards versus forward. So, yeah.
And did you want to continue on with maybe a little bit on the master side, what you see with what Alicia had to deal with at a younger age would have been in the older athletes? Masters?
Absolutely. So one thing that I do really pride myself on all of the years of coaching is that I've never had an injured athlete, knock on wood. I've had athletes that have come to me injured, but I have never had someone who has been injured while I've been coaching. So with that, I've also had to shift that focus to my athletes now, really focusing on strength training. It's not something, to be honest with you, it's not something that I really focused on myself or with my athletes until about 5 years ago. And now it's in their training plan. If I don't specifically put something in their plan, then I do have a couple of athletes that are like, listen, I've got this great Peloton weightlifting program that I like to, and for me, I'm like, I don't know Peloton. That's not a world that I'm familiar with, but if you're doing it and you're consistent and you love it, I'm good with it. I do have a big conversation with, as endurance athletes, we're always going forward, right? Like every motion is forward. As a triathlete, we've got, and a runner in general, an endurance athlete, if you're not getting some lateral movement in to strengthen the lateral muscles, you're going to set yourself up for injury at a much quicker rate. So the focus on plyometrics is important. The focus on strength training is super important because we've got to keep what we have. I was just recently told that we have talked about a little bit over the last couple of episodes, getting blood work and things like that. I had a conversation with my doctor and she's like, how's your strength training? And that happened to, I think we've already talked about this. It happened to be like the 2 weeks that I hadn't done anything. And she's like, listen, it's not negotiable. So before your run, if anything else, like you've got to get your strength training in, even if it's in place of like a foundation run or just a zone 2 workout. So I have been doing that. I've actually been dropping workouts into some of my other athletes too. I do have all female athletes right now. So it is in everybody's plan, and whatever capacity that looks like, whatever works for them, I'm all for it, but it has to be something not negotiable for their training.
I agree. It's with my athletes, it's included with their coaching, right? They get two 1 hours a week. And it's just a must that they have to have it. And right now, I mean, I'll do a little selfish plug, but this past week, I've been kind of promoting you need to start working on your strength. Come talk to me. Give me 30 minutes and I will give you a 4 to 6 week strength plan. You got to build a strong foundation. I mean, I'll say it over and over and over. We can't expect our limbs to work efficiently if the core is not there to support them to do that. So I've been kind of all over the social about let's get out there and let's get at least a 4-week plan. That seems to be kind of the sweet spot for people. I like longer. Right now, my athletes started this week. For a lot of my athletes have the Sinister 7 Ultras in July. We have 6 weeks till the 22-week program starts. The next 6 weeks, they are going to be doing a lot of core work. Right. And they're going to be building up a lot of this. They're going to, it's going to be the lift heavy now. The strength just has to be there. And I think not just for endurance athletes, it needs to be for everybody in general, for your daily activities of life. I've seen the other social posts out there. I get a chuckle, but a good chuckle in the sense that, twisting in the back seat to pick up a bottle for a kid, picking up the groceries, picking up the grandchildren. We need strength to do that. And you're going to do it for daily activities of life. I'll tell you twice a week, 20 minutes. Give me 20 minutes to a half hour of strength. And it's not going to be lifting and, sumos and all this other stuff. It will be very functional to what you need. And it has to be individual and I'm sure you both will agree, to each athlete. My plans come, are you doing a workout in a commercial gym or are you doing it at home? Because I can give you the exact same exercises, but we'll just set them up slightly different versus the machines versus bands and a few kettlebells and whatnot. I mean, chime in here, please. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I am a huge believer, especially in season training, 2 days minimum. It's definitely, so if you haven't done any strength training at all, doing something is better than nothing. Okay. We got to just start where you're at and build from that. Even 10 minutes, like make your warm up part of your strength training, or at your cool down, add in some core, some lunges, some unilateral work. Figuring out, I'm a huge believer in if you strengthen your weaknesses, everything improves. Also, I have a really, really cool story I got to share with you guys. So I have this athlete. He is about to turn 70. And he came to me and he's training for a marathon and just running. So the first thing we did was we added cross training. Okay. The second thing we did was we added strength. Now, the marathon, he finished it. He finished not as well as he wanted to. So we've been really going like all in during this base training season. And he's doing 3 days a week of strength training, full body workouts on top of just building foundation and doing some really good dialed in speed training. And we did a workout that he did. We replicated a workout. This is always a really good way to test to see where you're at in your fitness, is do a workout that you did a couple months ago. So it was a progression fartlek run, which if anybody knows, a progression run sucks and a fartlek run sucks. So when you put the two together, it really sucks.
I was mean.
Did you build that? That's terrible.
And on top of it was like an hour and 15 minutes. So it wasn't just like a 30-minute whatever. We broke down the workout. And back in April, so last April, he did this workout, and his fartlek, it was like a 2-minute burst. He was running like 9:15s. He would recover, and then he got down to like 9. He recovered. I think the fastest he got down to was maybe like 8:50. And holding, because they were like 2-minute efforts, 4-minute efforts, 6-minute efforts. And his distance, he ended up getting 6.4 miles. I should probably pull this data up to give it to you, because it was so cool. So, and he even was like, who am I? Who is this? So it's one thing when you see it. It's another thing when they feel it. He was hitting 6 30-minute paces. He was hitting 7-minute paces. Like these speeds were just again, not to say like, so this is just one of those things that age isn't, it doesn't matter how old or when you're starting, or you can always improve. You can always get faster. You can always get stronger. You just have to want it. So, super cool. And yeah, don't do progression fartleks though.
I'll have to get you to email me that one when the athletes are like, I can't do this. It's like, here,
And
take this and tell me you can't do these.
He did give me full permission to like post. So I'll put it on the Instagram. We can see, we can like put compare his April's workout to the workout he did the other day, and you guys can actually see those numbers yourself if you want to.
Yes, please do.
But super cool, and like a really good aha moment. So yeah,
that's amazing. And I will say too that it's funny when things go really well for an athlete in training, right? It's always, we give kudos to the athlete, and when things go not so great, a lot of times we as coaches receive a little bit of pushback, and I don't want to say blame, but basic, like we kind of like, sometimes they start to doubt us. But kudos to you for being the coach that recognizes the potential and putting him to that challenge and then rising up, because that, I guarantee you, was a huge mental win for him that just changed his whole perspective on everything. So as a coach, that's amazing that you recognize that and you've challenged him to do something, because it could have, you didn't know, right? Like it went really, really well, but it could have gone sideways, and then you would have had another build to do mentally and physically for him. But it turned out great, and that's amazing, because now you've created this athlete that is unstoppable mentally. And I was reading something the other day about, as we get older, we expect to slow down, and that's the expectation that we set for ourselves. And it's not true. It's not necessarily true. You can still set PRs, obviously, at 70. You can be setting records at any age.
Yeah, I have two things just to piggy on back on that. The first one is, yeah, please, that age thing, that is just, it's just a number. Like, you've heard the phrase, age is just a number. It's what do you want to achieve, and you can get it. I mean, the caveat is always, unless there's some kind of medical thing, I don't want anybody come back and say, well, you told me, but it's if you can achieve things if you want to, and you want to put the hard work in. It's just not going to fall in your lap. And this, and I think as coaches, kind of segues into my second point I want to say. Well, let me finish first the first one. My wife, Jess, I don't think she did last year, but for like 2 or 3 years, there's a gentleman out in the course, 70 years old, and he's doing the 100-milers. Right? He's out there. She would be doing, maybe 54, 60, 42K, something in around that. And they would meet up, great friends. They would meet up. They'd hang out for about an hour, I guess, on the course. And then he'd just be like, okay, see you later. And then he would just take off. Right? And this guy is out there at 70 running these ultras. And he's tried something. That's what it was. He tried something new last year. He's doing some kind of like windsurfing at 70 plus, right? And I'm just
wow.
Like, you got bored of the 100-miler, so let's just go out in the water and do some windsurfing. Like, so it's awesome. So please don't ever feel, anybody out there listening, that'd be like, oh, I can't do the 100s, I'm too old, or I can't go do a 70.3, or I can't do my first Ironman, or any of that. That's all BS. You can do it if you want to achieve it, right? And the second part I was going to mention on the power of what you did with the workouts. I love showing, I do this with my athletes a lot. So coaches, if you get some athletes, coaches that are listening, if you get some athletes that get into that spot, we've all had them, that are just like, I'm not making any gains. I'm busting it out there every workout, and it doesn't feel like anything's happening. Pull out the master performance chart, right? And we talked about this in Utah even, right? And just show them, here's where you were last month. Here's where you are this month. Here's your workout from 6 to 8 weeks ago. Here's the exact same workout 6 to 8 weeks later. Tell me you don't see a difference in those numbers, right? And you're telling me that you're feeling better now, right? But you just don't feel like you're getting anything. Just pull about and show them, right? It's actually in Utah after I got back home is when I started doing that more and more and pulling it out. And I think there's a huge benefit to that, right? So do it. Athletes ask to see it. Look at it. Look at it yourself. I mean, those charts and everything that's in there, right? My athletes go in there and have a look. Just don't change the layout. I like my layout, but go in and look at them. And if we don't understand the numbers, we as coaches, we should be willing to tell you what they mean and what they mean to you, just not in general to everybody, but what they mean to you and your performance and your progressions as you go along. So I think we can agree then on this one. We as athletes, no matter the age, we need to lift heavy. Right? At some point in time during your season, and as we're calling it now, the base season, a lot of people kind of call it the off season, but it's not really, because you gotta start prepping. Would you agree? I tell my athletes all this all the time, and I post it all over my social. Right now, before you start that 22-week program, so this next 6 weeks for a lot of my athletes, this is where we're going to make our big gains for 2026.
I love it.
Right? You're going to make it in the gym, building up the muscles so that, yes, we can build all the way through, but there's different phases for your strength training all the way through. So excellent. The only part I was going to talk about with bone density, really on the ultra side of things, is I think we have it a bit easier in the trail. Right? Yes, we're going to be out there longer, but it's just not that same consistent pounding on the pavement. Right? So you're out there for your marathon for 3 or 4 hours. Yeah.
Oh, okay. This, and I'm going to call you out on this one. Maybe not call you out. So because you just talked about the pavement, I am a huge fan of super shoes, super trainers. So
I know what you're doing.
Unless you can get on trails, and even if you're on trails, but there is something to be said. And Anne said this when we were talking off camera, that I'm not fast enough for super trainers. And I was like, listen, buy some that are discount. You could actually find them at like Trader Joe's at TJ Maxx now. They're like on super clearance. But they take that impact off of your joints so you can run faster with a lower heart rate. The shoes kind of absorb the impact as if, so you're not getting it as if you're running on trails versus pavement. And Anne, I convinced her to, I believe, buy some trainers. And have you run in them yet?
Did I tell you that I did that? I forget. Yes, I did buy a pair. So it's funny because after that little chat, and it was a couple weeks ago, I went in and researched. I'm like, I'm just not spending this money for shoes because I think I'm going back into retirement. I don't know what I'm doing. But I couldn't justify another pair of shoes. So long story short, I had them in my cart. I kind of figured out what I wanted. Wasn't 100% convinced, but then I can't remember. It was right before Christmas, I think. Finally I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. They came really fast. So I was very surprised how fast they shipped and showed up on my doorstep. I took them out for a little trial run during the week on my shorter stuff. It was weird. It's a lot different than your traditional shoe. So I ended up running, I don't know, a couple of days that week. And then this past weekend was my first long run in them. I put them on for the hour 50 run that I had, which I don't know if that was a smart thing or not. But at this point, I'm like, what do I have to lose? I'm just this far into training. I don't have time to work them into the cycle. And I will say that I did love them. Yeah, I will say that Alicia was right. They're different. I typically run in a stability shoe, and I have all my life. I didn't feel like I didn't want a stability carbon plate shoe. I felt like that was going to set me up in a way that I like potentially for injury. I've been in the shoe world for enough years that I knew that probably wasn't a good suggestion for me or a good outcome for me. So I went with just a neutral shoe. It does have the carbon plate. It's not the Nike, I don't know, what is that? The Vaporfly or whatever that is. You can hear people coming behind you when they're in those Vaporflies. But I did love them. And I do think that they are probably going to be my race day shoe.
Woohoo!
So thank you for the recommendation. Maybe that's why I didn't feel beat up. It wasn't my super slow speed on Saturday,
So I'm
but
telling
Sunday,
you.
but maybe it was a little bit of the shoe too.
I know.
Yep. So that was a rabbit trail we went down. Sorry, but we derailed there. But yes, I did do it, and I don't regret my purchase.
Awesome.
So thank you.
I just have to throw out that you didn't say it, so I was happy. But there's a phrase that people use when they get new shoes, and it's called breaking them in. And
I almost said it.
That one sometimes will take me into a very good discussion with a lot of people. I did it was a really good weekend course. It was like a 20 or 30 hour course, I think. And it was on the fundamentals of running injuries. And we talked about shoes. And we don't break shoes in. When you get new shoes, you don't break them in. If you break them in, that's theoretically the time that you got to buy new ones, right? Once you kind of break them in after that 100, 120, whatever distance that you put in your shoes, that might be a poll I'm going to put up on the Instagram site. I'd be interested to know when people do replace their shoes. But anyways, before I go down that hole, we don't break shoes in. We just adapt to them. Really, at the end of the day, right? It's all about how the body is amazing on how it adapts. And so when you get new shoes, please reframe the mindset. If I'm not breaking these shoes in, I just now need to adapt to them, right? And so it might be soles, it might be insoles, it might be whatever it is on the shoe. So I was happy you didn't say that, but that's just my little bit out there. Please tell me you think I'm wrong, but I'm a firm believer that we don't break running shoes in. We just adapt to the new ones.
No, you're 100% right. And for all of the years that we sold running shoes in our store, that's why I was I was careful of what I said, because people use that term all the time and it almost slipped out. But the way we've always talked to somebody who was buying shoes was the fact that if you're going to go out and run 2 hours in them on your first run, probably not the best idea. But I do recommend that somebody goes out, and that's kind of what I did, go out and take a few shorter runs in them, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever that looks like. Ideally, when I have put on new shoes for like marathon training, I will kind of do a loop so I have my other pair in the car, so that if there is an issue, you never do know what's going to pop up. I can always swap out into my other shoes. Not my older shoes, but my other shoes. So yeah. So I'm right there with you on not breaking them in. That's not something that we use in our vocabulary either.
Awesome. And I have one question for you, Alicia. So I typically will take my new shoes. I have a home gym, and they go down to the home gym. And that's kind of where I use them first. I get the same model, but as we know, and again, this could be probably another whole episode or two, I get the same model, same brand, everything. Asics GT2000s. Those are the ones those have been my go-to training shoes all the time. I don't use them in the races, but that's what I train in. But every year they change slightly, kind of thing, right? And I'm always like 3 years behind because I'm too cheap, and I'll just buy the ones that are on sale. Simply, I'm like, well, if these were good 3 years ago, they're good enough for me now, kind of thing, right?
No.
But the question here is, I put them in the gym, but I don't wear them when I strength train. So
Love it.
I get a lot of athletes that feel they have to strength train in shoes. I'm a firm believer in grounding. So Alicia, what are your thoughts?
Yes, 100%. And it's funny because I actually teach a couple live classes, and the biggest complaint I get is because you're like jumping on the treadmill and then doing strength training. And I'm always just like, take your shoes off. I actually love training barefoot, just to work all those stabilizers, ankle mobility, all the foot muscles. Keep the running shoes for running and keep the strength shoes or no shoes at all for strength training. 100%. Yes. Agree.
Yeah, my logic behind it is, you start getting into the drops and everything else. And when you're strength training, unless you purposely want to be elevating the posterior on a plate or something like that, but most of the time, I think grounding is crucial. But if you're going to a commercial gym and you're listening and go, cool, I'm going to try that, you probably still have to wear shoes in the gym. So get
Yes,
yourself a
and
set of minimalist shoes, a 5-finger Vibrams or whatever's out there. I know I've been even just switching shoes, and I've had people come over at the university just trying to say, "Hey, you got to put look, I'm switching shoes. It's okay." When we were working out, so excellent. Last episode, we had started talking about AM versus PM versus pros versus cons. I think we have a little bit more time for that this evening today, so let's pick that up where we left off. I don't know if we did get too in deep. I know we had a really good discussion afterwards about it, but I'm not sure how much we got into the show. But if Alicia, if you'd like to kick us off on what you have to offer AM versus PM and pros and cons and cortisols and everything else that goes along with it. And then Anne, by all means, please let me know your thoughts too.
Okay, I'm going to start with that the best time to train is the time that you can do consistently, that you can recover from, and that you can refuel properly. Hands down, okay? So especially as a mom, I feel like for me, I tend to train clients at like 6 a.m., which would be really optimal to just get the workout done and get on with your day, right? But here's what the data says. All right. So if you were to be optimal, you would do your easy runs in the morning, your long runs in the morning, your zone 2 endurance runs in the morning, your technique work, and you would do like your speed sessions, your strength training, your intervals, your quality runs in the evening. Now, your cortisol is on the rise in the morning, and it starts to decline in the evening. So the best time if you want to improve sleep would be to work out in the morning. If your focus is on reducing overall stress, you might want to work out more in the PM, in the evening. If you're a very stressful person and you're thinking like your cortisol levels are up here, okay, you would likely want to avoid working out hard in the evenings. Because obviously if you take caffeine or if you take any pre-workout, the time that the caffeine takes to get out of your system, JW, what is that, like 6 or 7 hours or something like that?
Yeah, actually, your half-life, you're looking for most average people, even up towards 9 hours. 9 hours of half-life for caffeine.
So again, the pros for working out in the morning is consistency, right? Nothing is going to be happening at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. You can get it done. You can build that habit. You won't be disrupted, more than likely. That mental clarity for me, when I work out in the morning, I feel like I'm going to eat well. I'm going to fuel properly. I'm going to have a good breakfast. Like the day is just better, right? My mood is better. I'm in a better mood. I don't know about you, if anyone you didn't get your workout in, you skipped your workout, you're a little more like snappy, you're a little more stressed, a little more irritable.
Yes, that's what it is.
Guilty. So yes, in my opinion, I'm just more energetic. Obviously, it's always, for me, working out in the morning, it's having that cup of coffee and driving to the gym is really just like that little treat. I'll like turn my podcast in or listen to some good music. I give so much kudos to people who just like wake up and go into their basement gym or wherever they go and just get going. I'm like, how do you like wake up, you know? But again, your cortisol naturally peaks in the morning. So if you wanted to be more in line in that aspect is from your circadian rhythm. And for races, most races happen in the morning. So it kind of lines you up so your body is just ready for that race to happen. And again, lastly, your sleep will be immensely improved. Just more so, training early tends to just improve nighttime sleep overall, especially if you're like anxious or a high stress athlete. Now, the cons of working out in the morning, and you guys feel free to jump in or agree or disagree or challenge me, but technically your core body temperature is lower, and your muscles are a little bit less pliable. So again, when you first wake up in the morning, it's like you're to just get up and go. We tend to, if you make sure you're getting a good warm up, but maybe not the most ideal to do like max strength work, sprinting, explosive work. It will just feel harder, likely. Your risk of injury could go up if you rush into it. So if you just jump right into it, and again, like tight tissues, especially if it's like this time of year and it's a little chilly out and you're just getting outside and going for a run and you skip that warm up, you're more likely to strain. Not to say it's not cold at night either, but things kind of tend to warm up a little bit.
Yeah, with that core temperature you're saying, that's really that joint viscosity, right? Is going to be not necessarily there as it is in the evening. And you kind of quickly touched on it, but that RPE, right? The rate of perceived effort, definitely first thing in the morning is going to be higher. Yeah.
And then I think this is something we can all agree on is, and one thing I shove down my athletes' throats is a lot of people first thing in the morning, they don't want to eat and they just want to get right to their workout, or they think coffee is enough. This is when I'm always like, just put sugar in your coffee. It's a little bit of carbs, it's something, but fasted training, one, it will increase your perceived effort, so things will be harder, and your quality for high intensity just goes down the toilet. So definitely not ideal if you have any kind of hormonal stress, low ferritin, things like that. Just stay away from it completely. Just eat a cracker, eat something. But
Banana,
that's where
oatmeal.
Yeah.
Those are so easy for the system. I'm pretty sure my wife Jess gets up before me. But I'm pretty sure she'll have a banana. She'll have some toast with peanut butter, potentially with a coffee, half hour, kind of just waking up, getting into that routine, and then goes out for her run.
Yeah.
Right. So definitely.
And now there's some such good products out there. You can even do liquid carbs. You know, apple juice. I mean, really. I mean, obviously there's some good, drinks you can have now too, but anything is better than nothing. And it's one of those things, it's people are like, well, this is what I've always done. This is what I feel better at. It's like, stop, just stop. I will fight this to my grave.
Yeah,
Don't work out fasted.
Fasted workouts, no, please. I tell pretty much everybody I talk to, please skip the fasted. If you are you're listening and you're kind of yelling at me right now going, no, I'm a diehard fasted, I believe. Let's have a chat. Tell me how it's working for you and why are you doing it? Most athletes, the reasons why they think they're wanting to do it, the fasted workout is not getting them gains that they're looking for. I understand the theory behind it, but most coaches will tell you that that's a pretty advanced training method for an athlete, right? Anne, would you agree?
I do agree. I'm a big believer in using real food for fuel. That being said, I know I have mentioned that I've been using goos and things like that for my training now, but that's more out of convenience. But to start off the day, before you go into your workout, real food is the best. It's easy if you can travel with it. If you have to come up with something that's simple that you can replicate at a hotel, something that's even packable that you can take with it. I know I had an athlete at one point that always she was cooking instant oatmeal, or not instant oatmeal, but like steel cut oats in the hotel room before Ironman, because that's what she always ate. And she would travel with her Instant Pot or whatever it was. So you can do it. I do get pushback sometimes from newer athletes that might say, I can't stomach it. My stomach just can't handle it. I have to do XYZ instead. I'm like, but you have to also train your gut. there is a little bit of discomfort there, most likely, because your stomach's not used to it. Your stomach isn't used to you waking up just a simple, I mean, start off with a half of a banana, if that's what it takes, but build up to it because your stomach can handle, it's more of a mental block than anything else. So, yeah, training your gut across the board, that's a whole other episode for the podcast. As well
It
as
is, absolutely.
yeah, as well as shoes that we already started talking about too. But yeah, it's fasted workouts are not recommended by any means.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more damage potentially than good for most athletes again, and in general. They do have their place, and my athletes will start training their gut when their training plan starts. So I got a lot of athletes in 6 weeks that are going to be starting their 22-week program for Sinister 7. That first week, they are starting to train their gut. It's like, what do you do on the trail? What are you going to use? What do you plan to do? Your long runs, you're going to start practicing it. I can't, or I this, that. And it's like, well, we've got a plan for that. Don't worry, right? You're going to run 1 block around your house until your gut gets used to it. Whatever it is. So you're close to home or something, right? But your gut, and again, I'll caveat all the time, unless you have a medical reason otherwise, you will always be able to train your gut. And do your research. Find out what you're going to be using at that Ironman, at that marathon, at that 5 or 10K for using it, or ultras, right? If you go to the same promoter, they tend to use the same. So Sinister Sports last year was all Tailwind. So go find the flavor you like of Tailwind, and you can get used to Tailwind before you even get there.
So it's so funny that you mentioned that. First of all, love Tailwind. I wish more races used it. But I'm also the coach that I will do a deep dive into the website of the race, whether it's Ironman, like I will know the course. A lot of times when we were in the Midwest, I had raced most of those courses, so I knew a little bit more about what was going on. But Key West is a whole new game for me. So I started doing a dive I look at water stops, how frequently are they, what are they serving? Key West is different. I've never done a race that's a cupless race. So because of the proximity of the ocean, totally makes sense. So kind of have to make a little bit of an adjustment for that. No big deal. But I started to look at their hydration, and I'm not going to mention what it is because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. However, they are offering this hydration that they spell it on the website. It's amazing. There's no sugar. There's no carbs. But it's full of electrolytes. So I pull off and I go to Google and I type in this product, and the amount of stuff that's not good for a runner's stomach is unbelievable. And this isn't the first year that they've had it. So our friends that are also running this race with us have run this before, and they have mentioned that they had severe stomach issues from the on-course hydration. And I was like, that's exactly why. So it's not good. We're all are taking our own hydration and not using anything on the course except for water if and when we need it. But I was very surprised that a race that's been around for so long is offering something like that for hydration.
Yeah, I got a feeling we'll talk off air about it. And when I played Junior A, we probably did a lot of the same things. It was either sponsored, it was, whatever it was. That's fine. I'm not going to slight anybody's product, but that product wasn't just the right one for what we're doing. And I'm an athlete where our family, the kids, Jess and myself, we bring our own water even. Right. So we take our trailer to most of the races, obviously, for driving, we'll take, the water coolers, we got a pump and everything for it, just because I didn't want to leave something small for that to chance. And then I will still use on-course water. I volunteer at a lot of the races, so I know where most of the water is coming from. So I know it's good water, but I just like to use what I train with. And if anybody's curious, my electrolyte go-to, love it, will swear by it, probably die by it, is BioSteel, right? And there's no sugar, but I'm the type of coach and the type of athlete that is we will hydrate with one product and we will do our nutrition separately.
Absolutely.
So it works for a lot of athletes where you can put the two together. I just want better control of the two separately, right? And sorry, I can't remember which one of you mentioned it, but there's nothing that says your nutrition has to be solid either.
Absolutely.
Right? When you're out there, it's just, for us, when you get into about hour 15 out on the trail, your mind starts to go, I want something to chew. I want something to eat. So again, it comes down to mindset but there's nothing that says for that 30 hours that you're out there or 34 hours that you're out there doing that 100-mile or that says that you can't drink all your nutrition. And so again, just to tie it back for you, Alicia, is, find out what they are using on the course and train with it. We can train our hydration and our nutrition. And my athletes started at, week 22 when they start a program, or week 18 when they start the marathon program. So.
I love that. I also believe that depending on the day, like, so your race day, it could be 10 degrees hotter, super humidity, which could change your fueling strategy. So constantly practicing in training. So I had just, again, my athletes, like, I'm out there in the rain, the snow, the wind, all the things, because you just don't know what race day is going to bring. And I'm like, good for you.
As it should be. I've had athletes that are like, oh, well, it's kind of raining today, so I didn't go out. I'm like, you don't know what race day is like. You don't know, even with triathlons, like, yes, go riding your bike in the rain. There's a whole other topic, but
absolutely.
You don't know what race day is going to bring you. So run in all conditions.
And I love it. And I tell my athletes, I said, that's the equalizer. That's where the training is going to come out. But here's the big secret. That's not a secret. What you're experiencing, everybody else that's towing the line is also experiencing that. So don't think you're at a disadvantage. Everybody's still at the same advantage on that course. It's just, like Ann just mentioned, did you actually train in it? And or is it part of your mental training? Did you do the what ifs? Right? If it rains, what am I going to do? What am I not going to do? Those are always going to be key takeaways. And, that's what us coaches and hiring a coach will help guide you through all different phases of your training. Was there anything else that we wanted to add in on the AM versus PM training and any pros and cons before we get into our, I'm itching to hear the question of the week.
So I will just add and kind of reiterate what Alicia had said in the very beginning, is that it's what you can consistently do, right? Like and it depends on what chapter of life you're in. I've done both. I've been to the side where I've said it before. I've been up at early in the morning to get my workouts in. I've done things on the other side where I've worked out after work. So it's worked at both phases, both chapters, but the reality is it's what you can consistently do. Long runs, long rides, those big training blocks. I'm a big believer of getting up and getting it done, because that's similar to your race day conditions. Long course triathlon, if you only have a long ride that day, get up and maybe take your time and get out on the bike when you are going to be on the race course, so you experience that heat of the day. Run maybe later in the afternoon, so you are running in the heat of the day when you would be for the race. But it's all kind of, that's where a coach can help you walk through the key workouts and where you should be doing those if you can't figure that out, or you need some help figuring that on your own. Somebody can help you walk through that.
Absolutely. Right. The best time to train is the time that you're actually going to do it. Right.
Yeah.
There's going to be pros and cons to everything, but at the end of the day, as you both have mentioned, what's going to work for you, get it done. And if you have a coach, work with them and they'll work with you, and you get the best outcomes that you can out of that. We can obsess over the bone density stuff that, we talk about earlier on in the show. We can talk about the cortisol timings, right? When's the best time based on cortisol and testosterone and everything else, and the perfect metrics. I am a very firm believer that we have to have a why. And I know you two are as well. It's like, why, what is your and we'll all have on the outside goals. Why do we want to do this? My friend wants me to, talk me into joining up, or, it's this, it's that reason. I had an athlete who said, hey, I got to run Boston because my sister-in-law's dream is for me to run Boston. Those are okay, but we have to have intrinsic reasons as well. And I even said to that athlete, I said, but you gotta want to do it a little bit yourself. Like, come on, tell me the truth here. Like, do you actually want to say you ran Bosch? Well, maybe. All right, so there we go. There's a why, and we have to have whys in our training, and we can't lose sight of the why. If you're being coached, I have my athletes. It's on their onboarding documentation and whatnot. What is your why? Why are you doing this? What's your intrinsic reason? And Anne has a really good question to help bring that back in sight. Anne and Alicia actually last week, I think, when we were talking about it, came up with that. I thought this was just stellar. So, Anne, what is the question?
I will say that I'm not going to take full credit for this first part because it was Alicia's initial question about, I think you had asked, so overall, looking back at 2025, one of the biggest things that we can do for ourselves is look back at the year, what went well, what maybe needed some, what do you need to pivot for for 2026? If we repeat those same training, I don't want to say mistakes, but those same training issues, if you're just not getting the results that you want, take a look back, see what was going on, see what you can change. There's always something that can be fixed or done a little bit better, right? But overall, the big question is, what has running given you this year? So I will throw it to both of you. I will start with Alicia. What has running given you in 2025?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's one of the it's one of those things of you love it. You never regret your workouts, right? So it's that feeling of I don't want to do this, but when it's over, how do you feel? For me, it's been I ran my first marathon this year, and as a mom of four, I realized it's possible. Like it really comes down to that one long run a week and waking up really early, having accountability. I'm getting home and everyone's still sleeping, and I'm like, with enough carbs, like my energy is solid. Like this is amazing. And then just seeing what running has done for my athletes and getting the messages on Instagram and through emails about just thank you. Like a lot of people, they start with running because they want to lose weight, and then they fall in love with running. One of the big things, I think I said this before, is like it's okay to say I'm a runner. Like that can define you. You're not just a mom, you're a runner too. And that could be your hobby. And then when you have a hobby, then you can find your friends, and then you find your friends, you find your community, and then just don't get injured, right? Don't get injured and don't get ill, because that'll go really hard, really fast. But it doesn't always have to be about a race. It could just be about the pure luxury of fun. This makes me feel good. I'm a better person for it. So that is why I run.
That is awesome. And Anna, I'm actually going to let you go next, and I'll go last.
Oh boy. What has running given me? I found a new way to run this year, and it sounds crazy, but I have found a different type of running. I found a different training cycle. I don't feel beat up. It's given me a little bit more of the appreciation of the running aspect, because I did not grow up as a runner. Picked it up later in life after kids mostly, but it's kind of given me something else to focus on, kind of brought back a little bit of the identity that I had pretty much closed a door on. So it's also brought me, like you had said, Alicia, it's brought me to a different a little bit of a community here in a new place that we live, even though that community is very, very small, but it's also brought me together with some new friends, and to watch them go through the journey, that's where I get excited as a coach, is to watch friends accomplish something that they have struggled with or that they didn't think was achievable. That's my joy, and that's what running has given me, is that watching them accomplish something while at the same time on my own little different journey. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's where I am.
Oh, it does, and I'm not even sure how I'm going to follow the both of you, because those are awesome, right? Like that's great, and I'm different, and I had some injury stuff that I dealt with earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, I was not fully. Well, I was still working like 60 stupid plus hours a week, and then coaching, and I was traveling a lot for the work. And then I let that go. So I didn't get to train necessarily for the events that I want to, although I will admit, if Jess says that she kept trying to get me to do my workouts and whatnot, but I'm busy, whatever it is. But where I still found joy, and where I found my joy is, it wasn't in my training or my necessarily running. It was the ability to be with my kids. So as everybody I'm sure by now has heard, we run ultras, right? So we do trail running, and with Sinister Sports, I really love this part. There's so much to like about that promoter, but they do kids events, right? As most races do, like whether or not most races will do a kids, the marathons and everything else, and so they get to do, and they've been doing it. I think we mentioned it an episode or two ago, maybe it was the first one or second one, that they do the kids versions, and I run with them. That is the thing that we do right now. So I go out and I'll run the trails with both of them, and we sometimes will walk. We stop. Eric, I think the second year he was doing it, I believe it was Death Race. We come up this big, stupid, crazy climb, and then we go out into a field, and he's picking all the flowers.
Yes.
Right. And it's just like, all right, cool. We probably want to get going soon, but you take your time, right? Like, just remember you're on a race, and just being able to be out there with them and not pressure them, right? It's not we will always say to our kids, right? Again, I'll go back to the pathways for children, right? And there's certain stages in lives and everything else that kids and events certainly do. And I will always ask my kids, do you want to do this? Because if you say yes, I will make you do it, kind of thing, right? But if you say no, I'm totally okay with that too. But when I say I'm going to make them do it, it's going to be more like going to soccer. So I coach the U9 and U7 soccer with my kids. And it's like, you said you wanted to do this. Yes, there's a practice tonight. Yes, there's a game today. No, you don't have to play, but you're not staying home and playing video games. You still have to come and sit on the sidelines. And I do the same thing with the racing. So I don't push them. I do, unfortunately, see sometimes the parents get caught up in the excitement and everything else, and not intentionally, but they're really pushing kids. And I had a mentor one time say this to me. I don't remember when it was. And it had to do with kids in sport. Don't be their last coach, right? Don't be the reason that they don't do something again. Like, don't push them. They're not making the Olympics at 9 years old, right? The Olympic teams for anything. Go out there and let them have fun. And that's where I got all my joy in 2025, was the 3-4 events that we ran with Sinister, where we're out on the trails for 45 minutes to an hour running a 5K with them for the High River Half here in town. We go out as a family and we do boys against the girls, and we just go out and we have fun with it. And so that's really where I got my joy in 2025 from running. So I am going to turn it over to our listeners now. So that's your homework. Drop us a note we have an Instagram page. It'll be in the show notes. You can go drop a message in there. You can drop comments on whatever platform that you're listening to this podcast on. What was, answer Anne's questions. What did the sport of running, or what did even your training, but your running, what did it give you this year? What was your why? and drop it in there. And maybe you have to think about it. Maybe you can do it super quick. We would love to hear what yours is. So drop it in there. Check it out. As I mentioned, we have the Instagram page. Link will be in the show notes. I'm Coach JW. We built the chassis. We've got the training. We've got the fuel. We've talked a lot about how we're going to fit the training into the chaos. And I think it's a good time to say we'll see you on the trails.
You're amazing.
That's a wrap for this week on the Endurance Balance. If you enjoyed the conversation, do us a huge favor. Hit that follow or subscribe button on your podcast app right now. It's the best way to support the show. And hey, we want to see your chaos. So come find us on Instagram at The Endurance Balance and drop us a DM. For Coach Alicia and Coach Ann, I'm Coach JW. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the trails.